Alright, welcome to episode 36 of the Sonata Chronicles vlog. So last time we talked about promoting your material and kind of less about the project and more about just getting how you get a project out there. And this time we'll be talking about so this time we'll focus more on the project and we'll be talking more about the architecture in the Sonata Chronicles and kind of the things that it's based around. So if you look at some of the concept art that's up on the Facebook page, you know, and floating around out there, very proud of it. What the first thing I tried to do was when I kind of hammered out the concept, you know, and I think I've talked about it before, but essentially I took a lot of things that sounded like fun to do and things that were a big part of my life and my childhood and kind of just mashed them together and forced it into a hero's journey, you know, context, and came up with this great project that I'm really excited about, that I really want to do. So we started putting together the art, and we started going through and really figuring out, okay, well, what does desert architecture look like? What do people live in? What are the buildings they have? And so we started putting it together. We started putting it together based on that. So, you know, the first thing you see is, you know, one of the first things you see in Fallen Star in a lot of the films, there are people living in tents, and that's because a lot of desert people are nomadic. So our wanderer tribes, desert people, they're no different. So they wander around in tents, and Mike's done a good job of taking those tents and making very interesting shapes. You know, if you look at tents used by Bedouins and other desert-dwelling people, they're usually square and white canvas, but he's really taken it to a whole nother level and made them more ornate and decorated, which is cool because it kind of reflects, you know, especially for Fallen Star, it kind of reflects where there are at the time, where a lot of the threats and the mystical creatures and things have left the world, and so, you know, and the world is kind of stagnant, so there's not a lot of threats, so you can beautify your living space, you know. It's kind of like the evolution of castles, where you look at the castles early on that were built to withstand invading forces, and they're big and stone and you know, sheer walls and battlements and all these things. And then you look at castles as they develop and turn into palaces, and they're less made for defense and more made for to please the senses, to please the eyes, to be impressive and beautiful and ornate. So, you know, that's kind of where we start off with. And so you have the desert people and the tribes, but then in the cities, you have cities made out of sandstone. And the cities we really looked at, you know, especially Constance Palace, which we've done a couple drawings of now. We really looked at Byzantine architecture, what the Byzantines look like, because it, you know, when you're talking about occupying force and empires, you know, one of the first things I think of are the Byzantines who held on to, you know, Constantinople and a lot of the Holy Lands and the Crusades. And so we kind of looked at their architecture with all the domes and the towers and a lot of stuff that just looks like a bunch of towers just kind of built together to make a big space. And so that's kind of what we did with this palace and what we're going to do with a lot of the high class stuff. And then the lower class stuff is more reminiscent of kind of you know, southwestern architecture. You know, there's you know, it's more boxy, you know, less extravagant, because the lower class city people don't have as much money. Many of them are serfs or even slaves, so they can't afford beautiful living structures. Some of them are oppressed wanderer tribes that can no longer find the resource they need in the desert. So we put those together, and so you see kind of this, you know, the center that's ornate, and then it goes out to kind of these, you know, more basic structures and smaller structures on the outside. and that kind of design carries over when we get to, you know, the Oasis, which is where we have sod houses and that kind of thing, because you know, once again, sod houses are kind of common where it's available, and so around the Oasis there's plant life and things, and so they can build these less kind of solid structures, a little bit more insulated structures, things that aren't going to, you know, because the desert's pretty stable, but at the same time here you have all that lush plant life. So we really went through and kind of put those things together, kind of figured out, you know, what those would look like, and then we made them, you know, they're familiar, they're you know, based on what's in this world, but then we made each of them unique. You know, Constance Palace looks a lot like a falling, you know, like a comet or an asteroid smacking into the earth, with the walls coming out and the big tower coming up in the middle. And that was the whole point, was you know, it's fallen star, so that's what I made it look like. And as we go through, that's kind of going to be the thing, is what's the theme of this one, and then how do we take that theme, put it in the context of what's useful to a people that live in this environment, and then make it something that is awe-inspiring, that makes a spectacular visual on screen. So that's kind of where we worked from for the Sonata Chronicles vlog, episode 36, but also for the architecture inside of the world of the Sonata Chronicles. So I hope that was fun and entertaining. You get 2 of just me in a row. Hopefully Charles will be back soon, and you won't have to listen to me blah 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 for 7-8 minutes. Have a good day.